But today we're not forging as much. Not saying I'm not going to be forging, because I guarantee I will be at some point. However, if you've been following some of my videos before I took over this game of Punch, I've been forging blades, and these are forged for effect. Like that could definitely have some refinement. So I want to show you guys, especially like an example like this where it's irregular, how you can grind profiles on these fairly quickly. Now, once more, I'm going to ask you guys, please like and subscribe. I'm going to grab something I can mark with, a marker or some soapstone. Give me just a moment. A little nub of soapstone here. Let me find a. Okay. So you can see this really ugly hook of a nose that's coming off here. Now this is forged from a double cut bastard file, and this is going to make this will make a decent size hunting knife, small bowie, belt knife of some sort. And one thing I can do, I can look at this and I can say, okay, what do I want to take off from here? Now, I usually don't mark my blades for this. Occasionally I will. But the first thing I'm seeing is to come in here and to lower this tip. So I'm just going to completely remove that. And then that's going to continue this kind of long clip, if you will. Now, there will be some thinning of the blade here. But what I'm seeing is, as I near the shoulder, what are my options? What can I do here? Well, one thing I can do, I can come in here and I can do just kind of a little ricasso, just kind of a little cut in. So I'll have a guard across here, perhaps. And now, why would I put that notch there? One, I can't sharpen efficiently clear up to the guard. Now, if I put some rope or some string or some, something there up next to the guard and pulled through, that would work. But at the same time, I'm likely to mar my guard up while I'm trying to sharpen. So that's a possibility of what I could do here. Now, clearly, I can level this off. I can put this blade on a diet if I really wanted to. I could even do something kind of not really crazy, but I could do something. I could really lighten it up and make more of a recurve design out of it. You can do that when you're doing forge for effect because you have more material than what you need. If you are forging more specifically to shape, for example, like this beast right here, I didn't want to do much stock removal on this because it's just going to be kind of a big orc blade. I ended up nicking right here while I was chopping through some 1/8" steel with it. I get bored. I was left unsupervised, so it's not just my fault. Okay. So, I'll give you an example. There's a really nice blade in this big, lumpy profile, forge for effect profile right here. And I'm going to show you guys how I go through and generally don't mark them and see what I can come up with. So if you would, we're going to go ahead and move over here. Now this is a mini dictator with I want to say that's a 10-inch contact wheel. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to turn a grinder. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to profile the spine. Now you can see areas that are clear, and then there's some where there's some hammer marking. I can still take that down some more. Next, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to profile the bevel side, the edge side. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to modify that tip, and I'm actually going to start from the spine. You can see there's a little bit of a divot right here. I'm going to cut into that. There you have it. I'm going to call that a better looking blade. Now, that wasn't real fast, but that is a way to fairly quickly change your profile. Now we're going to move it fast. There's spine. There's bevel right there. When I say bevel, I'm talking about bevel side. Once more, we're going here to the spine. Alright, that one's just ugly. I may have missed a spot. Yeah, Kyle, these are the blanks I worked on the last time. Yep. So I didn't keep track of how many of those I was just grinding. However, you may have noticed a common theme, and that is very simple: to strike the profile on the spine and then go in on the edge, and then basically blend anything together or add any notching, ricasso areas, thumb wells, anything like that. Okay. Let's see. Craft and iron dagger. I might do that. Very cool. Okay, so that is how I'm quickly profiling. Now, from profiling, let me find some of these are going to require more grinding than others. Once a blade's profiled, so once it's taken from this point, the spine is evened out. One, we don't want it too high at the back here. We don't want any major lumps. I just kind of like a nice smooth flow to that piece. And then we profile the edge side or the bevel side. And then I generally will put like a little notch down here, just a point where I'm going to stop sharpening. So what I like to do after this is to go in and start cleaning these up. Now, I've been using the same belt for a while. I'm profiling some of these, and I can do that because I don't need to cut as even and as efficiently as what I would with a new belt. Now, for grinding the flats of the blade, anything like that, I'm going to recommend use a sharp belt. It's going to save you time, and especially if your blade's already heat treated, which these are not, but if your blade is already heat treated, you definitely want to use a sharp belt because you don't want to overheat your blade. And that is one thing that you do experience with what I'm doing here is you start overheating areas. Crab with a knife. Okay, these are actually these are all file steel blanks. I've got a couple in here that are I've got some spring steel in here too that are, it's just kind of various items that have came into the shop. And that's something I tell people. If you're going to make knives, or if you're going to be a blacksmith, people are going to give you all kinds of things that you may or may not be able to use. Now, I recommend take it. Whatever they're giving you, if they're giving you little sections of rebar and stuff, you're like, I don't use rebar. Take it anyway. Give it to somebody who can use it, or use it. You can use it for practice. You can use it for building. There's a lot you can do with that. Or give it to somebody who can use it other than yourself. But if you don't take what they give you right then, a lot of times down the road, they'll be cleaning out maybe their, a relative's barn or shed and be like, oh, hey, I found an anvil in a forge. Oh, well, he wouldn't want those. So I highly recommend, and be appreciative, it's cool. It's a cool thing for people to help each other. How's it going? Okay, so now I've got Damascus, I've got virgin stock, like 1095, 5160 straight from the mill, essentially. So right now, what I'm trying to do in our downtime, and this is kind of our slow season right now. During our downtime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to process up all of the materials that I've been working on and accumulating. Okay. I primarily do forging. I do some stock removal. Now, I had a series of knives called Classic American Series, and they started out as 1095, 1/8 inch 1095 that was stock removal. It was plasma cut stock removal. And I sold a lot of them, made some really nice little knives that way. But if I'm working with thinner stock, I will usually do stock removal. So let's say that I've got a whole bunch of saw blades in the back. I have more saw blades than I ever thought I would have. But I got a bunch of saw blades back there, and I need to go through and I need to cut that up and grind out a bunch of profiles. And what I'll do on those is they'll still get the same heat treat and everything, but they just get like a wire brush type finish or a Scotch-Brite finish. So it's a pitted, it's a textured finish, and looks really cool for like frontier style knives, patch knives, belt knives, trade knives in general. So I do a little bit of both. Um, I primarily do forging, but I do some stock removal as well. And my preference comes from uh, what's easiest. I'll give you an example. As somebody wanted a cleaver, I said, okay, well, I can make a cleaver. Not like I haven't made a cleaver before. And I was doing just kind of forge for effect, bringing it out. Now I could start, let me grab a couple pieces of steel. I can essentially start with a section of leaf spring or something like that that's quite heavy. Some of these are over 3/8 of an inch thick, depending upon what I have. Some people say don't use leaf spring; it could have cracks and fractures, and yes, it can. And that's kind of part of using upcycled or recycled steels, is that can happen. I've also had cracks in steel that was from the mill. So you got to know what to look for and be cautious about it and work it properly. Now, Daniel Moss, yes, you did. So here we go. I can take this and kind of grind it into a cleaver. God, that would take forever. Or I can take it and I can forge it into more of a cleaver. And also, same size stock, you can see that it got quite a bit wider. And I've got to do one of these that's 5 inches wide, which I'm not sure is going to, I mean, I can do it, but man, it's going to be a task. So, in a case like this, especially if I want curvature where this comes up a little bit, there's a little bit of an S curve to that profile there. For that, I definitely want to forge it, because otherwise I have to, wherever my widest point is, that's what the minimum width of my steel has to be if I'm just doing stock removal. Now, there are some cases where I do mid-tech. Now, mid-tech would be where let's say I take a piece and I plasma cut it to profile and then forge from there. I can take a straight piece of steel and turn it into a kukri or a yatagan or, whatever, because we have the ability in the shop to take this in a very solid state to create or to promote it into a more plastic state and forge it out. Now, I did cut a strip of steel out from this section of spring, and I thought, man, I've got a bar of high carbon spring steel. What should I do with that? Well, in a short amount of time, I went ahead and turned out a couple different styles of small capers, or more skinners, really. And so, hey, what was going to be trash to begin with or discarded, the leaf spring, is now going to be a functional cleaver at some point. Of course, I was talking about cleaned up profiles and all stuff to do that. And the scrap from that has been turned into a couple of cool little knives. So I'm really happy with what I can do with that. We also take other pieces of file, especially the thinner sections, and make flint and steel strikers. So one thing I really like about doing what I do is being able to be creative and turn out more product, and giving new life to discarded, or in some cases obsolete, items and or material. The cleaver is coming along nicely. Do you have a method to rock well on your blade? Okay. So generally, there's a couple different processes I can go through. Okay. One, I can look up, in general, heat treat cycles on where's this going to land. I like to do a more hands-on approach. Which we're going to do now. Yes, definitely did. That's how I made those. This is forged from leaf spring. So keep in mind, this is more, I want to say this is more sword. So to me, a sword is an edged club and not so much a large knife. A knife I want to be able to cut with. A sword I put a lot more torque on, a lot more impact. So it just kind of varies. Anybody want to guess where this is going? This is where I was chopping on it last time. I ended up nicking my blade. Now, eventually, you will get failure. Here's some gloves. Now, I do not recommend doing this just because it's not good for the blade. And like I said, eventually you're going to have failure. I've got some marks on the edge there. I got a little bit of blunting. That's going to happen. So I'm going to say for a durable steel that this works well, and I think my heat treat's probably okay. It does have a rather obtuse edge at this point, and that's all going to come down. But I always have people come in asking about, oh, hey, you seen that show Forged in Fire? You should go on that. Look at the pictures on the wall. You can see me on season 4, episode 2, or you can see me on Master of Arms on Discovery Channel, season 1, episode 1. Flintlock axe pistol. So what I like to do is, if I'm wanting to gauge hardness, I can take a file. You can get hardness files. After quenching, most cases, your steel, if it will harden harder than a file, should skate a file. Not all steels are going to do that. A lot of people don't realize that. Some steels are not going to harden as much as a file is. If you are heat treating, now after tempering, that should soften it some. And if you're still skating a file after tempering, there's something you need to consider is, one, how are you going to sharpen it if it's that hard? And two, did you temper it long enough? Did you temper it at a proper temperature? There's other factors, So, yeah, you can take you can take files and you can determine, do you have a hard steel or do you have is it soft? Let me grab a file and show you how to do that. So here's a triangle file, okay, and yeah, here we go. So this is a knife blade that I made from a section of buggy spring. Now keep in mind that during heating that you will get some decarburization, so it's not uncommon to cut into the area of decarb and then have it skate otherwise. So I know this is hard through here. It catches some, it slides some, but that's also how I'm going to sharpen this. Now let's try the tang that is soft. See how much that bites in? So this is soft here. Now I've also still have oil on here, and at this point, this one I believe I'm quite certain was quenched in canola. So it does. It's still got some goo on it, which you can see where I'm cleaning this up. but it's nothing like cutting into this soft tang. So files can be used. Some people say, "Well, make a blade and then break it. Then you'll be able to determine what was hard and what wasn't." Kind of hard to use the damn thing after you break it. So I'm not too much into just breaking them because um, I might have. I don't know if this is tempered or not. Actually, I may have thrown that away. There we go. This is from a live video that got it got grabbed by YouTube because someone claimed that they had copyrighted quenching and got me for copyright infringement. I hope that guy gets some form of, well, something that makes it burn when he pees. Okay, so on this is 1078. This is an Atlas knife and tool, or was an Atlas knife and tool railroad spike. So these are actually 1080, 1078 steel. And you can see here where I had refractory on it and then an area where I did not. Now, this broke on me because I tried to do a brine quench. And even though it said you could, I don't recommend it. You can get a cool Hamon, still using quenching oil and a refractory. But looking at the grain structure, it's clear what's hard and what's not. So the back here, it's very, very soft. And this edge area, you hear that. Versus the back, hard, soft. So you can gauge that a bit. Some people think that they've got a bunch of blades that aren't hardened or tempered at home. I read one. It was on social media. There was a guy who took a file. He was watching Forged in Fire. He went out to his shed, and he got his axe down. He got his axe or his hatchet, and he tested the edge. And the file cut the edge. And then he went over to his got his machete. Oh my God, the file cut the edge. And then he went and he got a I don't know, like some of his kitchen knives or hunting knives, and started freaking out and said, "All my blades are soft. None of them were ever hardened. None of them skate a file." Well, they're not going to skate a file if they're tempered below the hardness of a file. And the hardness of a file, frankly, in my opinion, is too hard for a blade for it to hold up. Now, maybe for a kitchen knife or something like that, that's a different story. So, once more, guys, if you would, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Share it out on social media. Let's see. I'm really curious to see 1095 cut without being tempered. It's in the high 60s. Okay, yeah. So what you're going to do if you get it to cut, one, keep in mind you've got to get it sharpened at that point. Being harder steel, you're going to build more heat. Can you do that? Yeah, you can. Also, what can happen with steel like that right after quenching is you can develop stress fractures in it and it can just break. So what that looks like, you ever tried prying on anything with a file? It just snaps. That's likely to happen. Some people say, well, I want a really hard edge and a soft back, so I'll just quench that edge and leave the back soft. Well, that's fine. You can do that. You're also going to find that your edge isn't as durable because it's more prone to chipping out. So tempered martensite versus martensite, I would prefer the tempered in most cases. There may always be some variables or some exceptions to that, but as I was saying, it's pretty simple. As far as grinding fast goes, you take a blade like this and you take away what you don't want there. You take away the ugly parts, but you've got to be able to look in that and go, yeah, that's got a nice profile to it. That can be a nice knife, and then make it happen. So I've got to hop off here, but I've got a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean quite a few blades left to get through. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. I've got more videos. If there's other items you want to see made, I can see about making some in some upcoming videos. All right, let's see. Just as an experiment. Yeah, absolutely. As an experiment, you could definitely do that. Let's see. Connor Hyde. In my country, that's jail time right there. Yeah, we're pretty close here. I'm in central Illinois. I mean, like we've got, I don't know what country you're in, but we're about as close to little California as you can get, which is, in my opinion, not real ideal economically or politically. I don't get into politics too much, but around here, we even have to pay for our Second Amendment rights. I mean, to own or to be in possession, like holding this, you have to pay for a registration, and then they'll tell you how and when you can do that. So it's actually being challenged in several courts right now. But yeah, there's a lot of places that there are restrictions, and can't have a blade over 3 inches. England, okay. Around here, you actually have to have a gun permit to have a blade over 3 inches, like a pocket knife, if you're walking down the sidewalk or on a like government controlled property. So I'm going to go ahead and hop off here. You guys have a great day, and we'll be back with some more live videos and some more instructionals and probably some fun ones. In fact, we'll probably go into the axe lanes at some point and just do some live competitive throwing for the hell of it. You guys have a great one, and be safe. I'll catch you later.